So here we have Susan Vos and all her Australian friends. Welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk About Grief. Thank you so much for introducing us to your friends, Susan. It's very cool. Very cool. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Monique.
So what are you up to these days?
I'm up to many things, and pretty much most of the stuff is to do with death, dying, and transforming grief, and that kind of thing. That's my life. That's what my life's about.
Wow. Yes, and that's why you're here to chat with us today. So let's get right into it. And will you tell us about your son, Simon? Give us a little backstory.
So, well, first of all, I'll just tell you when he died and how old he was. So he was almost 25. It was 2 months before his 25th birthday that he died. And he was an amazing spirit, an incredible human being, just always busy doing things. He was climbing, or he was kayaking, or sharing things with friends. And in fact, he was a great teacher too. He actually had qualifications in outdoor recreation as well, besides being a university student. And so he taught many people how to climb and how to kayak. And he also went to the USA, and he worked as a whitewater river guide in 2001. And the way he died was that I didn't even know he'd planned a trip. I mean, he was always, just about every weekend, he was taking people somewhere. And he had gone on a kayaking trip with four experienced kayakers. And that trip on that river led to his death. And that was on the 14th of October 2006. So we've just actually celebrated the 4th anniversary of his death.
Wow. Sue, can I ask you, how did you spend that day?
Well, in fact, I was on my own. My husband was away. And the evening before, I just felt inspired to just walk up Mount Cootha, which is our little hill, just at the top of our street. And because, of course, I just wanted to do this, and of course Simon he wasn't just a rock climber. He was also a bushwalker, as they call it here in Australia.
A bushwalker.
They call it bushwalking here, and different countries use different words, but basically I call it hiking. And he was absolutely passionate about the mountains and about, from quite a young age, he was already leading scouts in the mountains in South Africa. And so I just felt I want to walk up Mount Cootha. And that was in the sort of late afternoon, and it had got dark, and I thought, oh, well, it's very safe here, and I'll just get a couple of torches and go up to my spot. But then when I started walking, I realized I didn't have the best torches. We've got a lot of torches, but I hadn't taken the best, and I thought, well, maybe both of them will run out of batteries, and I won't be able to get back. And in the dark, and the moon wasn't shining that brightly. So I did a smaller circuit, and then I found just one of the benches, and I just sat on the bench, and I just, in the silence, and just enjoyed the beauty, and just, I suppose I would say, I spoke to Simon, which is not speaking outwards, but I made that connection, that loving connection which I have with this being who was my son, who is still my son in a way, but he's much more than my son. Simon has finished the work that he came here to do. And somehow, maybe that is symbolic of what my journey and the work that I've done with my grief. Because I was in a place in my own life where I understood that the really good reason, and they're there to help us to grow. And we're having challenges all the time. We're meeting things all the time, and they're all like tests. The little ones and the big ones.
Yes.
And so I was at a place in my life where I knew, and this is not knowing that you read in a book. This you don't get because somebody's told you this. This is something that you come to understand. Although you might know it, I suppose you might know it in sort of theory. Yeah, they will test, whatever.
Yes.
But there's a point at which you kind of have a deeper understanding of this. And I was at that place. Of course, now, having 4 years on, I'm way past that place because I've grown in these 4 years. I've grown far more than I could ever have grown out of any other experience that I've ever had in my whole life.
You know what I tell people about my grief when I speak about it? I tell them that grief, it did me a favor. And what I mean by that is that when it showed up, once I got the hang of it, it woke me up in a way that I wasn't before. It was like I got into the cold shower, a freezing cold shower, and it woke me up. And everything past that moment was I want to say probably like the day that Christopher Columbus took sail and he stumbled into something extremely magnificent. That's what it felt like when I woke up. Everything was bigger, brighter, clearer.
Absolutely.
It was a whole nother world, a new dimension for me. And when I say that, people look at me like I'm crazy. But that's one of the reasons why I gave my book the title Grateful for Grief, because that grief, it brought me a sense of gratitude for everything.
Yeah.
Everything in my life, I managed to connect the spirit of gratitude with everything. And so when I hear you speak about that brings me a lot of joy, because you are filled with wisdom. And so I know that I'm on to something here, that it wasn't just my imagination, that I took something that appeared horrific and found a new world as a result of it.